Welcome to another day of the Morgan Dialogue. Today is going to be a special episode. And guess what that special episode is going to be about?
We are celebrating our 1 year wedding anniversary. So we've made it to a year and we're so excited to celebrate that. And in honor of that, we're going to be sharing 2 things that we learned about each other.
Yes.
2 things that we learned about ourselves. And then 2 things that we learned about marriage in general.
Definitely.
So let's get started. Oh, by the way, we don't know which of us are going to say what. So
I don't know her answer. She doesn't know what I have.
Yes.
So we don't know. It's going to be like
A surprise.
treat today.
yeah.
Let's go.
All right. The first one is 2 things we learned about each other. Should I go first?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, one thing I learned about my husband is he's an explorer. Not just about location, but mentally as well.
Mentally.
Yeah, so I wrote partly because he has very strong convictions, like you have strong opinions, but you're still very open. Like you're very open-minded. So that's what I wrote. It's like he cannot be persuaded easily, but he will listen with an open mind to understand and dig deeper into a topic. That's what I mean by explorative. So
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. One thing I learned about you is you're submissive.
Aww.
Respect is one thing that men on a whole requires of a woman. And when I see how she's submissive, we'll be having a conversation and she will just, or we'll have, sometimes we'll have like disagreement for that matter and things are heating up. But then after a while, she'll submit. She'll say, honey, how can I help? How can I make this better? How can we get back to what we have? And when I see that, that humbles me. And because of that, that's something that I admire in you, your submission.
Oh, that's sweet.
Your time now.
Okay, this is funny. Neil is actually very funny. Like you're hilarious to me. And I knew when we first met you had a good sense of humor, but I wasn't so sure if we would somehow understand each other's humors because you're Jamaican, I'm American. So sometimes there's room for like offense, but Neil's actually very funny. Like you genuinely make me laugh. You genuinely make me laugh till my stomach hurts. Like that's how funny my husband is. Even like when you're preaching, for example, he'll say something and it just sounds so funny to me. Everybody else is serious, but I'm just laughing. And I love that he lets me laugh too. It's like, you're like, babe, it's okay, laugh. Because I was like, oh, it's a serious thing. But you know, I love that you encourage me to just be myself. And
Yes.
yeah, he's very funny.
I think that leads me into the next thing I've learned about you is that I realize I like who you are when you're being yourself. So it's a bit strange. Yeah, because I'll be in the corner and I'll just hear you laughing. I'll just hear you talking
To myself. Yeah.
But every time I look at her, she's like, oh my gosh, no. I'm like, no, I like that. But it's just to know that what I like is that you can be yourself around me. And I am glad knowing that you can just be this goofy. She's goofy, yes.
Yes.
She's also geek. But that's one thing that I admire is that I say, hey, don't you ever stop being who you are around me.
Yeah.
Actually, if that does happen, that's when I'm going to be concerned.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 things that we learn about each other.
I love that. Okay, on to the next one. Yes. What did we learn about ourselves since we've been married for this year? Okay, so one thing I learned about myself is I realized I still carried a tiny bit of perfectionism. And I think what helped it though is that Neil, even this morning, like he's like, it's not about getting it right. It's not about getting it perfect, but he really allows me room to make mistakes. He's always like, it's okay. Like, and it's always calming. You tell me in a very calming way that it's okay to not be perfect. And I think that's made me less inclined to hold on to that mentality. Like I'm way better than when we first initially, like the initial phases of our marriage. I was still like kind of getting rid of the last bit of that perfectionism because God really worked hard to get all that out of me. But since when we got married, I just noticed those little tiny things. But now I'm less, I feel like I recover much quicker when I make mistakes now. And it's mainly because you ensure like, it's okay. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's important because in life we can't, and you see, it's very important to allow each other time to make that mistakes because you're going to make mistakes in relationship.
Yeah.
We're 2 different persons and at the end of the day we need to be there for each other. So wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, one thing that I learned about myself is how much you love me. And here's what I learned about myself as a result of that. I never knew I never got that much type of love from anyone else. Here's what I mean by that. And let me just give you a context where it's coming from. There are relationships that I may be in and I may not get the love. I may get it from one, may get it from another, may get it all around, but I've never gotten it like this. And it proves to me that here's what I learned, that I never got, let's say in my home, coming from home, my family, well, we never really use that word, I love you. So because I'm not used to that, I may not go in a relationship, I may not hear it from the other person who I'm with, but with you, it's like you just pour it on top of me. And that's when sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so uncomfortable with all the love you're pouring at me. But then it has to let me know, no, it's real. It's really what I'm getting. And it's not some cover up love. It's not for this or that. But it taught me that it's something that I've never experienced before, this level. And it's not like it happens last week and just because we're going out. No.
Right.
It happens. Sometimes I have to look at myself and like, oh my gosh, I am really getting this amount of love.
You're the most scrumptious human on earth to me.
That's what I learned, that I've never experienced that level of love, and just being around it, you just feel fulfilled as a result of that.
So how is it changing you?
It's changing me to embrace. Here's where it's changing me, helping me to have a deeper love with God, actually, because it's as if I'm getting all this love, and I'm like, when I think about how God has been blessing us, being there for us, it helps me understand the even deeper, wider the love that God has for us as a people. So that has really changed me. Thank you.
I love that, baby. Wow.
So those were our two?
No, we have one more.
We have one more?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good thing I'm keeping count.
Get it right.
Second thing I learned about myself since we got married is I'm not as good of a cook as I thought. Yeah.
Why
I mean, not that
yeah.
I don't enjoy. It just depends on who I'm cooking for. But I think too, like, sometimes I feel like we can think that we're good at something before we get married, and because you're around people that are used to your cooking, or they're used to you, so when you join a new person, your spouse, and you guys have to kind of go through that experimental phase, you might think you walked in thinking, yeah, I'm a good cook, but what if your husband doesn't like your cooking? Not that he doesn't like my cooking, but I just feel like the way that I cooked at home versus here are just two different things, and so that really makes me want to be better.
So what's your next move in order to become better?
I'm gonna make you a sloppy Joe.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. My second thing that I learned about myself is that I realize that I really value a lot. And when I say I value a lot, it's so, for example, if we are in, like this morning when there was a little trying to get cooking that certain meal, but because I value a lot, that's why I'm so patient with you, and that's why I take my time with you, or I care for you, or I cook for you, I help you out while you're doing your thing. I'll be there for you. I learned that I really care for you that much, and here's what that means. Because we are here, it makes me want to spend more time with you. And I think you see in life, we value the time we spend tells what we really value.
Yeah.
So if you say you don't want to go to church, you don't have time for church, what are you doing in that time?
Right.
Or what do you do with your time that you have? That explains what you truly value. So because I value so much, I realize that I want to spend more time with you.
Aww.
And that's what I learned about you, myself.
I love that.
Good. Finally,
we are going to talk about 2 lessons we learned about marriage. Yes. So I'll go ahead and share my first one. Marriage is not the solution to trauma recovery. What I mean by that is, if I hadn't dealt with some of my deep-rooted issues, I don't think we could even be filming this video right now.
Yes.
Like, I feel like some people believe that, oh, once I get married, it'll all just click. And it doesn't all just click. I mean, you might think that being married to someone is going to help you through your issues, but that person's going to become a punching bag. So I realized that I was really grateful for my long season of singleness until I had healed up enough. Not saying I didn't come in with baggage or I came in perfect, but God dealt with a lot of those deep-rooted traumatic issues in me so that I could enjoy my marriage. And that's because he honored my prayer. And I said, God, I don't want marriage to be training ground for me. But marriage can be training ground, but it's not the solution to you solving your problems, like waiting to solve your problems when you get married. The best time to do that is before you get married.
Actually, that's one of them that I was going to use.
Yeah.
It's what she always said. She's just thankful that she didn't wait for marriage as a training ground.
Yeah.
And that's something that I remember I was talking to someone and they here's something with me. I always have relationship. I love talking about relationship. I remember the person said to me, why are you talking about relationship? It's not like I'm thinking about getting married. And I said to the person, so you're going to wait until you're ready to get married to even think about it?
Yeah.
And that's what I love. That's one thing that I realized about relationship.
Yeah.
We had to have been doing the work before we met.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like we're kind of practicing applying what we have learned.
Yeah.
And the things, watch is not just what we learn, watching movies, watching this relationship video and listening, but at the same time we are applying it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can watch all these things, but can you apply it? So here's a perfect example. If you know that you're a person that you tend to get angry, upset easily, you don't easily, there are persons that you still haven't forgiven, you're going to get in problems when they get married.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there are going to be a little bit of confrontation. There are times when things may come up that anger is going to come back at you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to be perfect. I'm not saying you need to. But what I'm saying is that if you can at least admit, hey, I have a problem, but not just admit.
Yeah.
You need to start, okay, let's see the next person I interact with, let's improve on this.
Yeah.
The next person that I have something against, let's not hold them against.
Yeah.
If you cannot get over that hurdle before you get in a relationship,
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time.
you're gonna have a hard time.
I think that kind of lends to how a lot of times we feel like, oh, I'm gonna be so in love with this person. I'm gonna treat them different because they're not like. But if you really have not overcome those communication deficits, any problems you've had, it's bound to come up in your marriage. Like you're gonna be in a situation where your argument could be reminding you of someone you used to argue with before and you guys didn't resolve it. So because all of us humans are in some way, shape or form the same, right? So there's gonna be something that triggers you. And if you don't know if you're not self-aware and know how to overcome those triggers, your marriage could definitely become a war zone.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
May I go into mine?
Of course.
Definitely. So here's the one that I love.
Your last one.
It's my last one? Oh my gosh, I can't.
Already? Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. At the end of the day, you can't just rely on love alone to get married to someone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love how he looks. I love how she looks.
Yeah.
I love all this about him. And I'm so in love with him. Nope.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm getting at. You need someone who has purpose in their life.
Yeah.
More so, the man should have purpose and the woman should have some commonality between them, whether she's going to support him, whether there's something about that purpose that she admires with him and she's going to be there. But you must have purpose. Here's where I'm getting at. I remember, and trust me, I remember being in relationship, friendships. I remember there are times I would like, so would you like to join me in this dream, this desire, this goal that I have, my vision? Or I'll speak to someone and realize them already have their vision. I'm not included in it.
Right.
And that's when you know that it's not just about loving someone. Oh my gosh, I love this person. That's good. It said that there's what did the Bible say? We must be, what the Bible says?
Equally yoked.
Equally yoked.
Yeah.
Yes. Two persons.
In faith.
Yeah, in faith, perfectly. In faith is definitely one. But you have to be careful. Not everybody in church you're equally yoked
Yes,
with.
yes.
Because what direction is that person in church going?
Right,
If
right.
both of you are going in two separate directions, yes, you can love that person, but for
Yeah.
how long?
Yeah.
Where am I coming from with this? We spend time together, but it's not because, oh my gosh, we're so in love with each other. But I admire my wife when I see her working on her purpose. I admire her when I see her supporting what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I admire her because I can see that she's trying to be a better person. I'm mentioned love yet. And that's deeper than love.
Yeah.
Having communication, having time together, having a purpose that we're talking about,
Yeah.
that's more powerful than love.
Yeah, just to add on to that, this is not mine, but I just want to add on to that. Marriage is an assignment. It's an assignment from God. I don't think, and it depends on your marriage, of course, because some people get married just for the have children, you know, do the whole white
Still
picket
an
fence thing.
assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be.
But yeah, that can still be an assignment, but it is an assignment nevertheless. And so you think about sometimes God has put you in certain predicaments and you weren't comfortable, you didn't like it, but you knew it was an assignment you needed to finish. There's an assignment on our marriage, and that's why to me purpose is a lot stronger than love.
It is.
Because when it gets to those stages where sometimes people will say you fall out of love or you don't feel in love, whatever that means. But what grounds all of that is purpose and vision, and knowing like I have an assignment to finish, and if my husband and I, our marriage is God's assignment to us, we want to complete that.
You know, something just came to me as you mentioned that. I want to give an example what I mean, why assignment, as I say, and a purpose is more powerful than love. Let's say I wanted to become a surgeon, but guess what? I'm just entering high school.
Yeah.
Now watch this. I love that school that I attend, but my aim is to become a what?
Surgeon.
Yes, when things get hard in school, you think that love is going to help me because it's rough. But guess what? Because I have an ultimate purpose, I have an ultimate assignment, I know that the strategies are the first year that we have overcome. We have made it, what, 1 year now?
Yeah.
That's just my first year in high school. So I'm looking towards the second year now.
Yeah, yeah.
Third year until I graduate, then I enter into. So what am I trying to say? Yes, love is there, but there's something that we're working together on.
Yeah.
It's one thing when one person alone is working or the other person is working and they're both working in what?
Separate directions.
Separate direction. But whenever both of you know that there's something that because there are times when we are in disagreement and I'm like, well, you know what? At the end of the day, we have something greater than what we're
disagreeing about
right now.
Yeah.
That to me, then sometimes I'll even look in myself. Is there anyone else I want to do this with? And I literally said, no. And I said, no. Right
no
away. What is not say love there? You see that? It's not say love.
Yeah.
But is there anyone else I want to live this life?
Yeah.
No. And right away, that is greater than just being in love with each other.
I love that. Okay, so my last one I learned about marriage is that marriage is sacrificial. There is no 50-50, 80-20. You know how they like to break things up.
Wow.
It reminds me of the movie Pacific Rim. Where you're in one of the, so remember you're in one of the Jaegers, the big robots to fight the kaijus? Well, the two people inside of the Jaeger, their minds have to come together in order to operate the big Jaeger. And they have to be in one accord. And I feel like that's why marriage is sacrificial, because there are times when you're pulling your strength and it's my weakness. So I have to sacrifice what I think is the right thing to do in favor of what's going to push that machine or that robot forward. And that's what our marriage reminds me of. It's not about who's doing this and who's doing, marriage is us working. Yeah, it's us working together as one. That's what the Lord says, the two become one. And so that's how I realize that's what marriage is. It's about two minds coming together, sacrificing, nobody keeping tabs, but we're doing what's going to push us forward together.
What that means, that's why 50-50, anyway, I seriously don't know who is.
It's very immature.
But at the end of the day, for example, you realize you're not the greatest cooks by take over.
Right. Right.
And I love doing it.
Exactly.
I think that's the beauty behind it. I realize my strength and I take over there.
Yeah.
She realizes she likes to wash, you take over.
Exactly.
And that's it. And that's the beauty behind it. We're just there for each other.
Yeah. All right. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next time on the Morgan Dialogues.
Take care.
Bye.